systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? Back with my guy Gyiraszin. You're going to see me a lot. Baseball season obviously combines with the NFL season, which is right around the corner. But hey, Gyiraszin, there's still money to be made. I know you're coming off a hell of a Labor Day weekend in the MLB streets. Building winners around the campfire doesn't get much better than that. Drinking some nooners, taking lots of safety meetings, enjoying some fun, some campfires in Michigan. How was your weekend, brother? I know you, like I said, shipped a couple contests there, patted your pockets, leading right into that NFL season. Should be feeling pretty good.
Well, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. It was a great weekend. The weather here in Michigan was spectacular. I mean, it was like you couldn't dial it up any better. But I had a lot of fun, played some bags. I got to do the show with Ham on Friday night, and was building the teams, and Cubbies were out there in Colorado, and everybody, of course, was on some Cubs, and I was talking up Jack Leiter a little bit. I'm like, low price pitcher has been pitching pretty well, talked him up, and I'm sitting there, I'm watching my teams. I'm like, if Leiter gets a win here, like I'm gonna go to first. I'm like, this is pretty cool, and I was pretty shit-faced at this point in AIDS. I was a few deep. Them lucky ones that the high noons, them ones, those go down way too good. It's like there's a hole in the bottom of them damn things. But yeah, so then all of a sudden I had that. So I came in two teams in the Grand Slam, first and ninth, won whatever it was, 5,500. The next night I came in third and 33rd and won another 9-something. But whatever, been a good night, been a good weekend. We're gonna keep it rolling. We got some football going here. I did my fantasy draft yesterday. So, man, it's getting ready. I normally, Nades, I literally don't generally get too into football. I don't even really do too many best balls. This year, I literally did 0. In normal years, I do about 20 or 30. I just was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm not going to do them. I just wanted to relax, to stay in baseball mode. And now I got to flip that switch a little bit and add some football. I got to have got to widen the brain up a little bit. But, hey, it is still baseball season, because I'll tell y'all what. Man, these footballers that come in and they win a little money on Thursday night. The tournaments are good on Friday for baseball generally, and they're good on Tuesday, right after Monday night football. So, you get some extra donkeys in some of these tournaments. So if you're playing in the same ones, the guys that are in there, you'll start to notice some more donkeys showing up. So don't forget to take a peek in that 3-man rooms once in a while. If you see some unfamiliar names, don't be afraid to put yourself in there, that last guy, for maybe, a 50 spot or something, because I still think that's a good way to balance you out. I don't like to do that in the middle of the season in baseball, because it's pretty much down to sharks. But guess what? They just opened the other fish tank, and here they all come. So it's a good time for some baseball. Let's keep crushing it, Nades, because, man, we can pad it up for some baseball or football. Football's only a couple times a week. So, baseball in between keeps this keeps us going and happy. But, yeah, exciting times of the year. It's a great time. Baseball playoffs. This is the best time of the sports year right here that we got rolling.
Yeah, it's like Christmas morning here. Obviously, football on the docket. We get kind of a nice little double appetizer action, right? You get Thursday, you get Friday. We'll have all the content covered there. But like you said, we're not going anywhere for baseball. We're still going to be doing baseball shows Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So any day that does not have football, like a Monday night game, a Thursday night game, or obviously Sunday, we will have a baseball show. So 3 days a week, I'll be on all 3 days. Gyiraszin, I'll be with you, 2 of them, and then I will be with my guy Ham on Fridays. And contests are still going to be great. It's Tuesday and Friday for sure, because, again, there's no football. Wednesday, I have to assume they're going to be good as well, because there's no football there. So overall, should be a fun slate. And, yeah, anytime you got some extra people on the old DraftKings and FanDuel apps with football coming around, right? Everybody thinks they can get in there and win tons of money in football. Maybe they strike it once, right? They're like, oh, these baseball contests, oh, these are pretty big. There's nothing else going on. I'm running hot right now. They come over to the baseball, and it's just a different game. we'll do our best to break it all down here. Our guy Jason Turner in here, Carmen, Nate D, Gangrene, Notes, Ricky, Warren, Big Ed, Jake Swales, Andy, our guy New England podcast shakeup here. Hey, he's not having the best last couple weeks, last month, whatever it's been. Gyiraszin, we'll try and straighten him out, get him on some winners. Not to can't guarantee anything, right? It's the highest variance in all of DFS is baseball, right there with hockey. We can do our best to lead you to the promised land, but hey, even us, we don't win every night. Far from it. You got to take your bumps with your bruises, right? And you got to take the wins with the losses there. But everybody, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton here. Before we jump in, I do want to just showcase this. We're talking about football. Football's on the forefront. Gyiraszin here. Man, no better time than now. A tweet just went out. You can get a discount for our starter package, I believe. I have to read the tweet, but it is up on our SHIPIT Nation. It also gets you access to the SHIPIT games here. This is the biggest forefront and talking point of the NFL season, which is right around the corner here, is the SHIPIT games. This is a completely free roll for SHIPIT Nation members. You have to be a SaberSim member, and you have to be a SHIPIT Nation subscriber, or be on one of our Saber plans. So that starts at, I believe it's $100 a month, $129 a month, gets you access to that, gets you in here. And at the end of the year, minimum right now, Gyiraszin, $20,000 sitting up top, cold hard cash, plus a SaberSim Ultimate package for the next year. Everything's broken down here. Basically what it is it rewards you for loyalty. So each week you get ballots. Those ballots give you a chance to win one of the 3 golden SHIPITs, as you see right here, that are all broken down. This game 2 is the best game that you really want to get selected for. There'll be 16 of those that do get selected through the course of the year. Basically, you're playing a lineup together with Tambo in the Wildcat there and splitting the profits there. And then part of the profits are getting donated right back into the overall total prize pool. So, again, lots of questions getting asked on, hey, how do I get in this, blah, blah, blah. You have to be a member. You have to be on the SaberSim, one of the SaberSim plans. And after that, it's completely free roll there. So let's jump over, break down the slate. We do have 9 games on the docket. We have a Coors Field slate. We also have a slate that starts at 6:35 Central Time, 7:35 Eastern Time. So a little bit later than normal, about 30 minutes later than typically we see. So make sure you do monitor that, because one of those games off the top, that Minnesota and Chicago game, pretty tasty for bats, does have some weather concerns there, sitting at orange right now. So we do have to pay attention to that. That is going to be a talking point. One of the higher totals on the board, some cheap offenses, some good offenses there, and 2 really shitty bullpens there. So pretty good game to target for bats, but we do have to monitor the weather there. Gyiraszin, I'll throw it over to you. Broad slate overview. What are you kind of seeing on the slate? Again, it's Coors Field. We saw a 45, 50% owned hitters yesterday on a 10-game slate. I expect more of that coming today. DraftKings just does not price these hitters up enough in Coors Field with the current state of the Rockies pitching staff and organization. So we'll do our best to talk through that. But what's your broad slate overview here before we jump in?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting slate. It's just one of those ones where, the masses are all going in the same direction. I like the slate so, where it's a little bit more wide open. I mean, we got an awkward slate for a Tuesday. I mean, usually we got 12 and 13 games, but obviously coming off a holiday weekend, it kind of put a little bump in the schedule. But, I mean, still some big contests out there. Usually Tuesday and Friday are good days to bump up your, play a little bit. The tournaments are a little bigger, a little better, especially on both sides, especially on FanDuel. But, I mean, this one here is interesting. I think, there's 3 or 4 pitchers. I don't think we really have any strikeout upside today, for, really high-end strikeout upside with pitching. Obviously, the Giants are going to be, pretty high owned. But, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, the Giants are also the 5th hottest team in all of baseball as far as OPS goes, coming into Coors Field. I mean, normally I don't even like to play the Giants. Obviously, they got a shitty park they play in out there in San Francisco. We generally don't like to, roster teams out there. But, it's kind of hard for me to think about fading some of these Giants, with them coming into Coors hitting as well as they are. I mean, if they were in bottom 5, I'd be telling everybody we're fading that shit and I'm going to feel good about it. Like, I don't really care. But, I mean, them coming in, they've hit 24 homers in the last 2 weeks. It's also fourth most in baseball. So, it's just a perfect storm, I think, for the Giants. So, I think the way for us to get different, I mean, if you put in Wu in Amanga, Yu Darvish, I think what's going to end up happening, you're going to be fairly similar. Webb and Yu Darvish, I think will probably could end up being the play. But I think the one-offs today, maybe Nades, are going to be the key. I mean, if you want to stack up some Giants, I think, the one-offs or the minis are going to be the key today. But and don't be afraid to, you can't just top five the Giants today either. Obviously it'd be pretty expensive. You'd have to put in some. You'd have to play the rookie if you wanted to go that route. But there's ways we can get different. We'll talk it through as we go through the slate here. But I mean, pitching really to me isn't that strong. So I mean, to me, it's kind of hard to start off with Wu. I mean, he's got a Ray team. He's 25.6% strikeout rate. I mean, we got 5 guys over 9K: Wu, Valdez, Fried, Amanga, and Webb. I mean, and you look at Webb, you pretty much figure, Nades, that Webb would be the highest owned pitcher if they were out there in San Francisco, and that would be an easy call. So I mean, I just don't think the Rockies are good enough and don't scare me enough to where I think that venue difference is going to really scare me off of Webb. I think Webb is still a pretty good pitcher. So I think for me, Webb to me is a guy that I like. I mean, he's $1,500 cheaper than Wu, without any salary. I think Wu's the safest, but I just don't feel like he's gonna, he's not gonna get 12 Ks. He's gonna get 6 to 8 Ks probably. So, I think Wu is a decent play today. I'm trying to talk myself maybe into playing more Wu, because if nobody's gonna play him and he's gonna be lower owned than he should be, then I think he's a better play than he is if he was, going to be a little bit more chalkier. So of those 5, I think for me, I mean, I'm probably sitting here looking at probably Webb first, Amanga second, Wu third, and then, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to play Valdez. And then I think I'd probably go Fried and Valdez. I don't even think I'd really want to play either of those two. But I still think there's a couple guys down below 8K that we could look at. But I'm just not really afraid of the strikeout upside here tonight. So I think I'm willing to go a little bit lower. I don't think I'm in love with any of the pitchers, but I think Logan Webb is a pretty good play. And then maybe I'm just overlooking at the fact that if Wu's going to be sub 15% owned, I really like Wu. I'll tell you that. Like, if he's going to be that low owned, I think he's a guy that, I think I could pair up with maybe a lower end, a cheaper pitcher. But yeah, I think there's ways we can get a little different at pitching, but I think Amanga and I think Webb are the two that I like up here, and then Wu would probably be third.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. I do have a little bit different take there. I agree with a lot of what you said. For me, Imi's going to be my favorite pitcher, Imanaga. Just with the pitching weather out there in Wrigley tonight, I just think that helps him a lot. The Braves, I'm not really too scared of him. Temperatures in the low 70s, upper 60s there. So it's not great hitting weather there. Not too afraid of that Braves offense. There's a lot of strikeouts in the back half there. So I think Imanaga is a really good option, in my opinion. I like his upside. I like his pitch count ceiling. I like everything there. His strikeout prop is sitting at 5.5. Slight juice to the under. It's pretty even there. It's plus 110 on the under there. So 5.5. Everything checks out. I think Imanaga is a really good play. Logan Webb, I think, is a good play. I would be worried on how I play with Logan Webb. The chalk build tonight here, based on the dry run and projected score, is 5 Giants with Logan Webb, pairing them up with the Giants, and then playing Yu Darvish, and then doing whatever else you want. If I go to team stacks here, you see it right there, 87% almost Giant stacks with exposure, 80% of Yu Darvish, and then Logan Webb right there wanting to get almost 40%. So if you play Logan Webb, I would probably try and play Logan Webb without Darvish or without the Giants. I think that's an interesting way there. Logan Webb, pretty good K prop, best on the slate, 6.5, juice to the under, but again, still hang 6.5 K prop there. Pitch count should be fine. There's a lot of strikeouts in this Giants lineup. There is some slight concern. He just has not pitched very well in Coors Field. I mean, you look at or even against the Rockies here, he's sitting at a 17% K rate, But again, he has been a different pitcher this year. His K stuff has come up big time this year compared to where it has been in years past. And again, this Rockies lineup is just not too scary overall. So I do think Webb's good. But for me, I think Bryan Woo in tournaments is really interesting to me. The reason being is I think this ownership at 20% right now comes down. I think he moonwalks backwards. The reason being is he's 10-5. Everybody wants to play the Giants. They see Logan Webb at $1,500 cheaper than Bryan Woo. They see Imanaga at $1,000 cheaper than Bryan Woo. They see guys like Yu Darvish, Lorenzen, Rasmussen way cheaper there. So I think they just go ahead and are off Bryan Woo there. I think Bryan Woo is really interesting here. 5.5 K prop, heavy juice to the over. Everybody saw what the Rays just did yesterday. So that recency bias there may scare a little bit more people off. And that price point, it's a little sticker shock there for Bryan Woo. I think Bryan Woo has a ton of strikeout upside here. You look at what teams strike out the most against right-handed pitching. The Rays hit that list. They still have strikeouts in that lineup. So I think Bryan Woo is really interesting to me. I'm out on Valdez and Max Fried both in that game. Valdez is the kind of guy I think that could limit some of the damage that a Yankees team does and pick up strikeouts. He just keeps the ball on the ground, will get his 5 to 7 strikeouts, whatever it is. I just can't take that risk at that price point. I will say his K prop is sitting at 5.5, juice to the over there with that strikeout happy lineup in New York, and not many people are going to click him. So I think in tournaments, Valdez makes some sense, but for me, I can just take the risk in single entry 3-max stuff. So it's Bryan Woo, Imanaga, Logan Webb, and Rasmussen are my 4 guys up here. I think Rasmussen is a really interesting play. 8K, he's a pivot off of guys like Lorenzen and Yu Darvish for a little bit more expensive. Gets that matchup against Seattle that just got absolutely torched yesterday. Not to say that's going to happen again here, but I do think Rasmussen has strikeout upside, and in his last 2 starts, they've let him go 90-plus pitches, which has been a big thing. He had a hard limit cap of 5 innings. I think he can get stretched out now and get into that 6th inning. We've been seeing that his last 2 starts. That adds to his ceiling there. So I do think Rasmussen in tournaments is a pretty nice play there overall. So for me, Emmy, number 1, Bryan Woo, 2. I'll go Rasmussen, 3, Logan Webb, 4 is kind of how I'm ranking that top tier. Let's jump below 8K, and there is a lot of guys down here. Got to hit on Yu Darvish, going to be highest on pitcher on the slate, sitting at 6,700 there, pitching in that pitcher's ballpark out there in San Diego against his Baltimore team. Hit on him, hit on Lorenzen. I think Lorenzen's a pretty interesting play, 7,500 there. Not going to be too owned. He projects really well. I think he's a really good option. I expect him to kind of get steamed up a little bit leading up to lock. And then any of these other guys you like down here, Krismat, Mitch Ferris, these young guys down at the bottom in the dumpster dive, 5,500 and 6K. What do you see below 8K?
Yeah, I didn't talk up Rasmussen at when I was talking pitchers. I just think he's safe, especially on FanDuel. I mean, he's got 6 straight innings a handful of times. I think Rasmussen's pretty safe. When you start getting past that, you look at Lorenzen and it's like, do I want to like Lorenzen with all these strikeouts the Angels have? Lorenzen's about average as far as strikeouts go against righties, and we know the Angels got a shit ton of power. So it's just like I could see Lorenzen having a decent game, and then I could see him getting blown up. So I mean, it's kind of like one of them Robbie Ray situations that we'll talk about sometimes. But if he's going to get steamed up, I don't like him, but I do like him as a pivot off Yu Darvish. So, I mean, Darvish to me, I mean, what is he, 40 years old about now? I mean, he's got to be. I know he throws, the dude's got every kind of pitch imaginable in his arsenal. I mean, he's not getting up to 90 pitches. I mean, he's going to be anywhere between 70 and 80, maybe just above 80. But, I mean, if all the ownership's going to Darvish, I think Lorenzen would be the guy that I mean, I don't mind going to if you want to do that. I don't love it. I think it's one that make me probably want to drink, or I'm going to have a safety meeting before that one goes off. But then too, you look at this Krismat, Nabil Krismat guy. I mean, that dude's 8,400 over there on FanDuel. I mean, he's way overpriced, but I mean, his price is doable on DK. He's only 6K. So, I mean, he's got an average strikeout. I mean, I just don't love it either. I mean, I think he's decent. I mean, for the price you're going to pay against a Texas lineup, I think he could get you the points that he needs to get you at his price, especially for 6Ks. Now, Ferris, I mean, this guy here with the Royals, he's got a pretty high strikeout rate, but he was in Double-A. So, I mean, it's kind of a pretty big jump to go from Double-A hitters to major league hitters to where these guys can, hit fastballs, read pitches a little better. But, I mean, the guy's got a pretty high swing and strike miss rate. So I don't mind taking some chances on him either. We're going to get in that time of the year where we're going to start seeing some guys coming up that we're not too familiar with. So, I don't mind playing some of these cheaper pitchers, but I do like to be sure they do have some strikeout ability in the minors. They're stretched out a little bit. They're just not, bullpen type arms that are going to be openers. But I don't mind Ferris, Krismat. I'd like him more on DK. But Lorenzen, I think you can play them all. But to me, to be truthful, I think I'd just fade Yu Darvish, because if Yu Darvish is going to be chalk, man, my instincts tell me we should be probably stacking up or mini stacking some Orioles. So, I don't know, Nades. I don't love the bottom half. I think there are some guys that are playable. But, I mean, I can't play Miles Mikolas. That's not happening. Freeland, I can't play. I'm not really looking to play Wentz. That we forgot to mention, that White Sox and Minnesota game does have some weather issues. So that's a little scarier for pitchers. Maybe they might, I think the bats probably could be okay, but there could be some in-game delay or maybe a delay to start. But, so that's one we got to watch. But, yeah, I don't think there's anything down below that I really love. I think I would kind of just maybe stay in the higher tier. But, I mean, if I was going to take some chances, I think I'd take some chances on Krismat, maybe Ferris, and then I would maybe take a chance on Lorenzen. But I think I'd rather take a chance on the two kids than take a chance on Yu Darvish. I mean, you get them for a couple thousand cheaper. I don't think they're going to beat them by much more than what what we have. So I don't know. I just think I don't love pitching today. I'd almost rather start with bats, kind of figure out what you have left, and then just kind of make it work. If you end up having enough money to go higher end pitching, then great. If not, who cares? Throw in one of these lower end guys and let's play. I don't think you're going to get burned by pitching today.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you say. I'll say one of my favorite pitchers on the slate comes in this tier, and it's going to be Michael Lorenzen. I get it. The Angels have a ton of power, but they also have a ton of strikeouts. Sitting at against right-handed pitching last month, or sitting at 31% K rate against righties. Lorenzen's been good. He's limited hard contact there. So for me, I think Lorenzen is my favorite play. One of my favorite plays on the slate here. Pitcher's ballpark there. It's pretty wind-driven ballpark in Kansas City. Plays more pitcher-friendly when the wind isn't crazy. There's not going to be any crazy wind. Temperatures in the low 70s by the end of the game there. So I think Lorenzen is one of the better plays on the slate at 7,500, even if he does get steamed up. Darvish, I mean, you know what you're getting with Darvish. The thing I have with Darvish is he's going to be 40, 50, 60% owned, depending on what contest you're playing in, due to his price point and the matchup. But the dude, I mean, what's his ceiling realistically? I get it. He's 6,700, but the dude hasn't gone over 84 pitches all season long. I mean, he's in the low 70s. Last start, he went 69, 82, 84, then 72, 76, 69, 69. I mean, I just don't know what his pitch count concern is. If you want to follow the old streaks of his game logs, right, he had a good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Naturally, right, that means he has to have a good game tonight here as chalk. I don't see it. I'm capping him. I want to be under the field on Yu Darvish. That's just how I'm going to play. I'd rather take a shot at a guy like Severino or Mitch Ferris, to be truthful with you, than Darvish. So for me, that's why Lorenzen, Severino, and Ferris all make the pool. Direct pivots right there off of Yu Darvish with a similar roster construction. So for me, I'm under on Darvish, over on Lorenzen. Realistically, it's Imanaga, Rasmussen, Wu, Lorenzen are my four kind of, and Webb are kind of my five main pitchers on the slate, with Severino and Ferris being pivots there. The thing with Ferris is he has a ton of upside. I mean, this dude had a 15% swing and strike rate in Double-A. I get it. It's Double-A, but these guys are still professional baseball players, professional hitters. I mean, 5,500 with a 15% swing and strike rate. I don't care. I'll take my shot. Yeah, the KC doesn't strike out very much, but again, the back half of the lineup, there's still strikeouts there. And for a dude where a lineup's never seen him, it could get a little iffy the second, third time around. But again, he's 5,500. He's going to be sub 10% owned. He's a direct pivot in the same tier as Darvish. So for me, Ferris makes the pool. I'd much rather play Severino or Ferris over Darvish personally if you can't get up to Lorenzen. That's kind of how I break it down. Any additional takes at the pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, while you were talking about Lorenzen, I was just checking it out. I mean, and I'll give a little credit here. Where is it at here? He was talking about right here. Jason was saying how bad the Angels have been. They have been really bad. I mean, they're like bottom 5 in every OPS, batting average. I mean, their on base percentage is 253 in the last 2 weeks. That's terrible. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that would bump up a Lorenzen for me a little bit. I mean, if Darvish is going to be chalky, then I would rather have Lorenzen or one of the kids. I mean, Lorenzen's a little better on FanDuel than I think he's on DK, but I think Krismat is better on DK. There's just some pricing differences, but yeah, I think there's some pitchers that can be in play today. I just don't think there's any with really high upside that I need to be concerned about here today. So, but yeah, obviously Giants are going to be chalky as we move into bats, but I think there's enough pitching options to where it's not going to be overly chalky. But I still think you got some decent options that are going to be 10% owned that can get you there.
Yeah. So for me, kind of how I approach it is build your stack, right? Build your 5-man stack, figure out what fits, what you want, what your hitters want, whether you're using an optimizer or not. And then try and figure out the pitching combination you want to play, right? And then figure out the mini stack. If you have to come off of like a Brian Wu down to like an Imanaga or a Logan Webb, and then to make your mini stack or your one-off fit or upgrade a bat in your 5-man stack, right? Go from one of the bottom order guys in price, something like that. That's kind of how I would approach it. Start with the 5-man stack, start with your main offense that you want, and then figure out what pitching works around that versus starting vice versa and going pitching and then going hitting. Because like I talked about the Giants, right? It's hard to get away from the Giants here in this matchup, even against Kyle Freeland in Coors Field. But if you play them, just pivot off of Yu Darvish for sure, and potentially even Logan Webb, because majority of the lineups with the Giants are going to have Darvish, Webb, if not both, at least one of them for sure. There's pretty good percentage of lineups. I would say I'd be willing to bet 75 to 80% of lineups are going to have at least one of those two, if not higher. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this slate here. Let's jump over and showcase one of our premium tools over here. We do have available for all of our premium sports, including NFL, coming right around the corner. It's our one-stop shop to build lineups. You got everything ranked right on here. Overall, we have the Turbo Slate games on here today as well. But let's skip down to the main slate here. First game on the docket, we do have Tampa and Seattle. Rasmussen, Brian Wu, two of the pitchers that we talked about that we both had some interest in. Overall, this ballpark does play hitter friendly. Temperatures are going to be in the 80s here, but again, 9 to 12 mile an hour winds blowing straight in here, which is going to be a bump for pitching overall. Still a hitter friendly ballpark, but the wind does help our case with both of these pitchers. What do you see here in terms of offense?
Yeah, I don't really love either side of it. Really, I truly like both sides of the pitching. But I mean, if you want to look at possibly, stepping out against, somebody like Wu, I mean, I just don't really recommend it, to be truthful. He just doesn't seem to get beat up. Rasmussen's the same kind of way. He's just a really good pitcher. I mean, if you want to look at some one-offs, I would probably just look at for power and just go that route. I mean, the lefties against Rasmussen are up at almost 29% fly ball rate, where he's at 16% against righties. So I guess, Kyle Riley, obviously Josh Naylor would maybe be somewhere that I'd look at. But other than that, I just don't really think there's anything. I'm not really willing to stack up either of these two teams.
Yeah, me either. The Rays have been the best bullpen in terms of xFIP over the last month, so they've been really good. Seattle's top 10 in baseball as well over the last month there. So for me, I think this is pitchers duo. I like both pitchers. I'm not really getting to any of the offenses here. Sure, if you want to play Cal Raleigh, you can always play Cal Raleigh, but 6,300. Kind of a tough stretch for me. Again, he can always do it. But overall, don't like this game much for hitting. If you like it, you're going to be contrarian and over the field. It's just not something that I'm doing. There's much worse pitchers on the slate to pick on. Next game, we talked about both of these pitchers as well. But again, anytime a guy's making his major league debut, things can go south in a hurry. Royals have some upside just baked in as well with that Angels bullpen. I mean, that Angels bullpen, not very good. They've been better than they started the year. Overall, they're kind of middle of the road over the last month or so, which does help in terms of where they've been. I don't know. From offense, I mean, Royals sitting at a 5 implied run total. I think that's a little high. Personally, I don't love it. But what do you see here? Any interest in hitting in this one, Kansas City and the Angels?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at when I first started looking at everything. I'm like, oh, Royals have the second highest team total. I was like, all right, sweet. Hopefully, a bunch of people play Royals. But, I mean, I think the only two Royals I'd even think about playing is Miguel Garcia and Bobby Witt. I mean, I think Garcia is a decent play. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get out of this rookie, how long we're going to get. He could, shit his pants and start shaking, and lose his composure. You never know what could happen with the kid. Or he could come out and just absolutely dominate. So it is kind of a crapshoot. But, we know that bullpen isn't very good. I just don't like playing at Royals, but I think the top two bats would be good. Garcia and Witt, I think I could stomach. I think Garcia would probably be my favorite play on the Royals.
Yeah, I don't hate that, but again, not a game that I like for offense too much here. Royals total feels a little high there. Don't love it. I think a lot of that has to do with where the Angels bullpen was to start the year. They've actually been really good. Or not really good, but they've been above average over the last month or so in terms of some of the estimators and that I look at there. So with the uncertainty there, you can always have, like I said, you can always have upside against a rookie making his debut. I'm going to be more on the side of Mitch Ferris than on the Royals, but hey, if you want to play the Royals, they do have a good implied run total. They're sitting pretty good overall in OPS against left-handed pitching, kind of middle of the road there. So decent spot overall. Next game on the slate, the Cubs and the Braves. Not going to be super that windy here. We've seen the Cubs do their damage in this ballpark in much worse conditions at the beginning of the year when temperatures were literally, it was about to snow in this ballpark. It's not going to be the same case here. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 60s, low 70s here. Wind kind of below 5 miles an hour, so not a huge impact there. You got Joey Wentz coming off a massive game in one of his last starts, now heads into Wrigley to face this Cubs offense. You can steal bases on Joey Wentz. Anytime you can steal bases, I have interest, especially with a team like the Cubs that will run. So I think the Cubs are fairly interesting here. Kyle Tucker, Swanson, Nico Horner will all steal bases. PCA, if he's in there, Suzuki, Happ, all of those guys will steal bases. Matt Shaw's been playing pretty good right now. He murders left-handed pitching. Not many people are going to play him at a third base position there at 3,400 hitting in the back half of this lineup. I think the Cubs are pretty interesting here. Not many people are going to play them. I don't think the Braves bullpen is very good in general. I have some interest here in the Cubs when not many people are going to play them. Braves, 5th worst bullpen in baseball over the last month. What do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, Joey Wentz is this kind of a boring pitcher that don't have upside that just generally doesn't really get hit too hard. He's got ground ball lean to the right side at 42%, not so much to the left side, 36, but his fly balls are about mid-average. But, I mean, he's been getting barreled up pretty hard. Even some lefties been barreling him up this year. But in the last 30 days here, Wentz hasn't been all that bad against righties. I mean, he's not been walking guys. His strikeout percentage is below average a little bit, but his barrel percentage isn't very high. It was normally it's around about 9% with the righties. He's been at 6%, but the lefties have been hitting them pretty hard. So I mean, they do have some pretty good lefties over there on the Cubs with Tucker, Happ, Crow Armstrong. Happ obviously is going to bat righty. But I mean, I don't mind some of the Cubs. I just don't love it. I think you're just going to have to overpay for them for what you're getting on a slate. But if the Giants are going to be pretty much in the same pricing tier as a Cubs team, I think I'd rather play a Cubs team against Joey Wentz and that shitty bullpen than I would rather play a Giants team who are going to be extremely chalky. So, I just, you either go overweight on the Giants, but if not, I think the Cubs are a pivot.
Yeah, I like the Cubs a lot as a pivot here. I don't think many people go to them. Their run total looks pretty good. Braves bullpen's not good. I think Joey Wentz has some struggle, especially against lefties, where he starts walking guys. And again, when you start throwing, when you're walking guys, you got to rein in your command a little bit, come more over the heart of the plate, right? You're not getting the calls on the edge, things like that. Any of these guys can hit it out, and then you got the added bonus of the stolen base upside there. So for me, I like the Cubs quite a bit. Next spot on the slate, White Sox and the Twins. This is the weather spot to monitor, which is definitely an important game because this game is pretty nice in terms of offense for this one. Let me refresh Roth here. It says orange right now. High-res models are putting a line of storms through Minnesota during the game. Some sort of delay looks likely, and I can't rule out a postpone. So potential postpone. I don't think it's a crazy high chance, at least from reading that. We're not playing the pitching either way in this game. So if this game, even if there is an in-game delay, it still has upside here. Twins have been the worst bullpen in baseball over the last month. White Sox have been a little bit better, but still bottom 10 in the league overall in terms of xFIP and all the estimating numbers there. Davis Martin, not very good. Simeon Woods Richardson, not very good. Really good game total here as a pivot off of Coors Field. Issue is the weather. So I think the weather does keep the ownership in check here as the pivot spot. What do you see in terms of offense here?
Yeah, I mean, I wish there wasn't any rain. I'd be picking on both sides of this game, but yeah, it's going to be scary. But I think if it does play, you're going to get a really low own. So the people with the ear to the ground will probably get a little heads up there that you're right. Both pitching staffs suck. Obviously we're sitting here looking at Davis, and for me, or Davis Martin, you're sitting here looking at him. He is K percentage really low to the left side, less than 15%. He's at 20% against righties. His WOBA is pretty high against lefties, 357. Mid ground ball lean, but I mean he's getting hit head. He's getting barreled up 10% both sides of the plate. Last 30 days he's been getting barreled up by lefties at 13%. I mean, we know the Twins. Buxton's been hitting pretty well here recent times. The Twins are going to be throwing a bunch of lefties at him. I think maybe 7 lefties. But the thing is, the White Sox got a handful of lefties in their bullpen. So, if that game was being played, guys like Wallner, I'd be a little afraid, of maybe getting pinch hit for. But on the other side of that, too, like Simeon Woods Richardson's, he's not very good either. Coming back off the IL, he just was terrible. I think, you could look at somebody like Sosa. I think you could look at Montgomery's always fun to play. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind the bats here, but I think you got to keep your ear to the ground. It looks like it's pretty scary tonight. Looks like it's possible potential PPD. So, just scary.
Yeah, I will say the White Sox bullpen, they used a lot. One of their lefties, Iser, threw 22 pitches yesterday, and then he threw Friday and Saturday. He's thrown 38 pitches in the last 3 days. I think he's going to be unavailable. Their other lefty that they like to use, Ellard, threw 35 pitches yesterday, which makes him likely unavailable. Tyler Alexander, another lefty, right, threw 20 pitches yesterday, which that puts him at 31 over the last 3 days. And then you got Leisure, who yesterday threw only 14, but again, he's a righty. So, I mean, this bullpen is very, very taxed for Chicago. Their lefties are really, really taxed. The most taxed guys in their bullpen do pitch from the left side. So that does increase my ownership or my interest on the Twins bats. I love the lefties here for the Twins. I mean, Davis Martin has absolutely gotten tattooed over the last month against left-handed hitters, 65 plate appearances. I mean, you're looking at a hard hit percentage of 56%. Tons of fly balls, tons of power. You look at the last 30 days against righties for the Twins. Wallner, Fitzgerald, Larnach, Buxton, Brooksley, Clemens, Outman, Gasper even, all have ISO numbers approaching 200 or more. So give me the Twins. I love the Twins here. I'm going to eat the bullet. And if it gets postponed, I lose. But, I mean, I'm gonna take a shot on the Twins. Twins are one of my favorite stacks on the entire board. And then I think the White Sox are also interesting. I don't think Woods Richardson is any good in my opinion here. He's been bad both sides of the plate, allowing tons of power to both sides here. Looking at the last 30 days, Baldwin and Montgomery are the two favorite bats there with Sosa. But realistically, it's just a stack. You got a really bad bullpen behind him. I think this game goes over the total. You do have a little risk with postpone, so pay attention leading up to lock. But again, does help that lock is 6:35 Central Time, 7:35 Eastern Time, with this game being within 5 minutes of the start time. So we should have a little bit clearer understanding in about 3 hours or so before lock there. But I love the Twins offense in this one. Much bigger lean to the Twins than I do in the White Sox in this one. And they're probably my favorite pivot off of the Coors Field game in general. Next game on the slate, Cardinals and the Athletics. Severino, I had some interest there on him. Mikolas on the mound, still in our lives. This dude just pitches the contact, doesn't really strike anybody out, doesn't really get swing and misses here. Now, many people are talking about this A's team. I know this ballpark isn't very good, but again, if you're looking for pivots off of the Giants, I think the A's can fit that script as well. What do you see here in this one in Busch Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind picking on Miles Mikolas. That guy's just not been very good at all. I mean, Soderstrom, Rooker, Blade, Langeliers. I think all these guys today are in play. I mean, I don't generally like the park, obviously, over there in St. Louis, but I mean, just looking at how bad Mikolas is, the guy just doesn't miss bats. I mean, he's 15% strikeout. His WOBA's high to both sides. He's more of a ground ball lean to the right side, but his fly balls has actually been up to the left side here, almost 36%. So guys like Kurtz even, I think he'd be a pretty decent place. I like the top half of this lineup here for the A's. And, nobody's really talking about the Cardinals. So I think the A's. So for me, I think the A's would be a team that I definitely could look at here today that I'll call them my low-owned stack for today. I even like a little bit of the minis on them here today. So, but yeah, definitely some power there. Mikolas isn't missing any bats, and he's just been bad, especially the lefties.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of Mikolas, even with his home road splits, anything. I mean, these numbers you see right here on the screen on the stone are his home numbers on the season, 15.5 K rate, barrel percentage approaching 8%. I mean, his xERA is up there. And then you look at the A's over against right-handed pitching over the last month. One of the better teams in baseball. They're sitting right around 11th, 10th in OPS against righties. Then you look at the lineup: Soderstrom, Gelof, Butler, Rooker, Wilson, Kurtz, Langeliers, all have a lot of power, low strikeouts against a guy that just doesn't get swing and misses, allows a ton of hard contact, and they're going to be unowned as a direct pivot off of the Giants at similar price points. Give me the A's as well. I put the A's ahead of the Cubs even as well. So for me, it goes the A's and then the Cubs both. I like them both as direct pivots right off the Giants if you don't want to play that Coors Field game and go down with everyone else or hold hands with everyone else with the Giants there. So I like the A's a ton. Not playing any Cardinals. Cardinals been absolutely atrocious over the last month, especially against right-handed pitching. That's why I talked about Severino a little bit in terms of pitching. I think he makes some sense, and he's also a direct pivot right there off of Yu Darvish for cheaper. Next game on the slate, Valdez, Max Fried, two guys that we didn't really talk about too much. These lineups are enough and scary enough to give some fits at these price points for these pitchers compared to the other guys around them. Anytime you can get the Yankees low owned, they always have home run upside there. Valdez just not the guy that typically gets beat up too much. I mean, he is coming off one of his better starts that we've seen in some time. But again, it is against the Rockies. Before that, he was pretty shaky there. So, I mean, you could have some upside with these Yankees. Ballpark sucks, but this offense does have a ton of power to hit it out of any ballpark. What do you see here? Two decent bullpens as well behind both of these, two of the better arms on the slate. I think this game is a cross-off for me personally, but Yankees low owned, any interest?
I mean, if I'm going to play the Astros, it would be against a lefty. I mean, Fried just really isn't a guy that I really want to pick on. He hasn't all been that great either, though, here in recent times. I mean, just look at his last 30 days, 19% strikeout rate to righties. He's been getting barreled up at almost 13%, hard hit rates, almost 43%, WOBA 386. He's been walking almost 10% of his righties. I mean, Pena, Correa, Altuve, Cam Smith even. I think these guys are all decent, but I mean, I don't like it enough on a slate today, and I'm not getting the leverage that I would want off taking a chance on a good pitcher like Fried. So I feel the same way again for Valdez. I mean, Valdez struggled pretty bad until his last starts, which was against a Rocky team that we'd literally been picking on all the time with the pitcher every day. But before that, Valdez was garbage. I mean, he was just flat out shit. His K percentage is really low here in the last 30 days. I mean, his fly ball percentage is low. He's been getting ground balls, but he just got beat up a little bit. I mean, I think Stanton is a pretty good play if you want like a one-off. I mean, he's been hitting pretty well. He's got a 4.4 WOBA. Goldschmidt, the guy, even though he's sitting at one hole, it's just not the same Goldschmidt for me. I mean, you'd have to pay up for Judge. So I'd have to say Stanton would probably be my favorite bat if you wanted to look for a one-off with some power against Framber. And like I said, I feel the same way against both sides. I'm not getting enough leverage for me to take a chance against a good enough pitcher like that. But I do feel like they could be prone. I just don't like the odds of getting beat up. And I wouldn't doubt if you do see one of these two teams put up a pretty good number. But, I mean, it's tough to roster these two teams against these pitchers.
Yeah. So what I'll say is Stanton's a good pivot off a guy like Heliot Ramos at a similar position or a Jung-Hoo Lee, a little bit more expensive there. Guy's going to be much more popular, obviously. I think Anthony Volpe is a pretty interesting play as well. 1Z position, shortstop, mid-tier, has shown power, can steal bases as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to pick on a guy that has a 65-70% ground ball rate in Framber. Yeah, his strikeouts have dropped off a cliff over the last month there, but again, he's going to keep the ball on the ground. I would rather power hunt one-off or two-man stacks than go in and stack either side of this game. I get it, right? The Astros tagged up Fried last time. It's just not a guy. I just don't like stacking against ground ball guys, Max Fried or Valdez, anyone, regardless of who they're playing. It's just very hard. I mean, you get a guy on, the ball gets cut off, right? He gets stopped at first instead of a double, and then guess what? Next guy comes up, hits the ball on the ground, double play. Like, it's just hard to manufacture runs there. So for me, Stanton, Volpe, obviously Aaron Judge, I think those three guys are pretty interesting plays overall. Aaron Judge at 6,500, going to be fairly low owned. I mean, one of the lower spots you're going to see him owned on the slate because everyone's going to play the Giants for much cheaper there. So power one-offs on the Yankees, I think, are interesting. I'm not stacking up the Astros personally myself. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the spot everybody's going to go to. You see this projected ownership here. I mean, they're all projected. The top half of this lineup's all projected going to be 30%. This is going to be higher the smaller the field size goes. Yesterday on a bigger slate, Devers was 50% owned in single entry. Lefty. I don't think he quite gets there, but it's going to be pretty close. Lefty Kyle Freeland is not a guy that scares usually too many off. I will say, I talk about all the time, Freeland at home has pitched better than most people would indicate. But again, this is a soft toss and lefty, just doesn't get a ton of swing and misses. Giants been murdering baseballs over the last month. Been one of the hottest teams in baseball. You look at them against left-handed pitching in terms of OPS. They are all the way down at 25th, though. So over the last month against lefties, they're down to 25th in the MLB in OPS. That does give me some slight concern there, especially at this ownership. And I just naturally, when I like teams like the A's, the Cubs, I really like the Twins a lot. I mean, it's hard spot to fade here, but man, I'm really hesitant going in on a Giants team that, man, look at these numbers on the road this season against left-handed pitching. I get it's Kyle Freeland. I get it's Coors Field, but again, it's not the heart of the summer Coors Field where it's 95 degrees in Coors here. There's wind blown in at 10 plus miles an hour, temperatures in the mid 70s there. So it's not the greatest hitting environment by any means that we've seen in past slates where Coors has been the focal point. What do you see here? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like not one of our favorite spots here, but it's like when the Astros came into Coors Field, it was just like, blah, blah, blah. And, they're in Coors, everybody's going to play them. But I mean, for me, I just kind of lean in Giants just because they've been hitting so well coming into the last couple of weeks. So I think that's something to be said. But, you look at the team total. I mean, if we probably lined up all the teams and the team totals they've been in Coors, this is one of the lower team totals. We've seen in the sevens most time. I mean, a mid six isn't all that high for Coors Field. I mean, we've been seeing higher team totals out in Sacramento. So, I mean, they're not even really getting all too much love as far as that goes. But, I mean, Kyle Freeland isn't just – I mean, this guy just isn't good. He's been getting barreled up by righties on 14.5%. His ISO is 225, 363 WOBA, Fly ball percent 33. And then, I mean, they do have some fly balls over there in that San Francisco lineup. Ramos 26, Devers 28, Adames 52. You got Chapman, Flores, Casey Schmidt. I mean, they're all in the mid-20s. So, yeah, I think the Giants play is a pretty decent play. I'll let everybody else make this mistake. I think I'm going to have a couple Giants teams. I'm going to mix up my one-offs and probably mix up my couple pitchers over there on FanDuel. But, man, I just think the Giants are in too good of a spot. They've been hitting. And, man, this Colorado team is bad. Like, their pitching staff, I mean, they can't even be excited to come to work. I mean, it just got to suck. So, but, yeah, I think San Francisco is a better play. I mean, I usually look for reasons to fade it. I just think today isn't the day. I think you just got to be careful with it.
Yeah, I mean, just don't play them with Darvish or Webb, and right there you're different with the Giants. Play the guys at the back half, guys like Patrick Bailey, who's going to be a little bit lower owned, Luis Matos, Jung-Ho Lee, lefty on the back half there. So that's a slight way to get different there. I think they're fine. This is going to, because of how weak the overall offense on this slate, I think we're going to see push and obscure ownership on the Giants just due to the nature of the slate. And anytime that's the case, and I see Mike High free money Freeland on the other side, it does give me some sort of fits. Giants best quote unquote spot on the slate, right? You gotta the important thing is how you're going to play the Giants, right? If you're going to play the Giants and play Yu Darvish, well, now you're there with everybody else. So maybe pivot off a guy like Yu Darvish, right, to some of those other guys that we talked about in the same tier, guys like Luis Severino, guys like Lorenzen, Ferris, things like that. That'll make you different, or pivoting off both of them and go to like an Imanaga at the top tier, or spend all the way up to Brian Wu and play the Giants that way, something like that. So I think that's how to play him there. No Rockies interest for me against Logan Webb. Overall, if you're playing the Giants, just be worried on how you do play him. But yeah, it is a really good spot in general. My favorite Giants would be Willy Adames, number one. He's just been smashing lefties, has smashed lefties all year. Chapman, Luis Matos, Wilmer Flores. Those are kind of my four favorite guys. The 3, 4, 5. I think that's a really interesting stack in general. But yeah, just be worried how you play it there. It's hard for me to kind of full fade it. I just do have some slight concerns just at this ownership. I mean, I saw a 10-game slate yesterday with 50% owned guy. Granted, he had a home run there, but again, he's pretty much the only Giant you needed yesterday. I don't know. It's an interesting spot in general. Next game on the slate, Padres, Orioles, Tyler Wells on the mound, Yu Darvish. I was seeing Padres get played a little bit as mini stacks, guys like Tatis, Machado, and that in the 5-man stacks of the dry run with the Giants. Talk to me here. Ballpark sucks. Yu Darvish going to be chalk? Are we going to leverage some of the Yu Darvish guy with some of these lefties from the Orioles? What do you see here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Padres. I just don't love the Padres. I mean, Wells coming back off an elbow surgery. Looks like he had a couple rehab starts, looked pretty good. I mean, generally, he's a fly ball pitcher that just gets a lot of strikes. You don't strike out. He's not a high strikeout pitcher, but does get hit hard a little bit by some righties. So obviously Machado, Tatis, Liriano would be some guys that I don't mind. Yeah, I don't love it, but I just don't like the park. I don't mind it, but I think it would be better for some minis, or like I said, if you wanted to use one of the righties. I think Liriano is a pretty good play here today.
Yeah. Any interest on the Orioles side?
I want to like the Orioles because if Yu Darvish is going to be that chalky, I think the Orioles would be definitely interesting. It's somebody, play. I mean, Jackson Holiday at the top of that lineup. You got Gunnar Henderson. I don't mind some of the lefties. I mean, you look on the year, Darvish he's at like 17.8% strikeout. He's at 26 for the righties. He's walking a lot of lefties. He's at a 12% walk rate. He's at 334 WOBA. I mean, he's getting barreled up at 12% against lefties. So, I mean, they got some lefties they're going to be able to roll out here. Cowser, Jackson Holiday, Gunnar Henderson. So I think they are in play. Dylan Carlson on the wraparound. I mean, even Beavers hits the bottom in the 8-hole hits. We like Beaver. Hits pretty well against righties. So, I mean, but Darvish just got about 20 different pitches he's going to throw out of his bag. So I just wonder if a lot of these young kids are, they're never going to see that many pitches. I mean, he just got such an arsenal. So I do a little concerned about it. You get the Orioles kind of cheap. So, man, I think it's some pretty good leverage, to be truthful. So I don't mind it. If I'm playing a couple of teams, I think it's just a little riskier. But I think Darvish will be more owned on DK than he will FanDuel. But, yeah, I think it's a great leverage spot.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be overweight on the O's, not just because the Darvish is chalky, but the O's hit right-handed pitching really good. Darvish struggles versus lefties. I like Carlson. I like Cowser. I think Gunnar Henderson is a really, really direct pivot, really great pivot, right off of Willy Adames for $300 more. I think that's great. Beavers, I don't mind him. Basallo had a good game yesterday, lefty from the catcher position. Jackson Holiday always has upside at a weak second base position. I like all the lefties from the Orioles. Padres bullpen is above average, but they haven't been that great. And you look at them, they used 6 arms on Sunday, and they used 4 arms yesterday. You look at their total pitches over the last 3 days, 43, 39, 36, 33, 29, 29, 26. These guys are gassed out there, and if they tattoo Darvish a little bit, I mean, they could just absolutely punt this game, and you could have some high upside Orioles here at virtually no ownership. I mean, these guys are going to be sub 3% owned in general. I think 5-stack is viable. I prefer more minis as a leverage there. And, hey, maybe you go ahead and if you're playing the Giants, you pair some of the Giants up with some of these lefty mini stacks of the Orioles because you're double flipping the build, right? The Giants are going to be paired with Yu Darvish very, very frequently. You get the direct leverage on a Yu Darvish, and you're pivoting off of Yu Darvish with a guy like Severino, a guy like Lorenzen we talked about, right? The rookie making his debut there for the Angels, Mitch Ferris, things like that. That's a little game within the game, right? Flip in the build, different roster construction, things like that. So you don't have to go completely off the wall and go crazy. But if you're playing the Giants, add some of these lefties in with the Orioles, fade Yu Darvish, and I think that's one way to play the Giants differently there, amongst many other ways we already talked about. But I will be overweight on the Orioles here. I think they're a really good leverage spot on the slate, the lefties in particular, Cowser being my favorite bat from the O's side of it. Last game on the slate, Rangers and the D-backs. This is a team nobody's really talking about here. Late night hammer, game in Arizona. Roof's likely going to be closed here. I haven't looked at it, but I'm assuming it's 110 degrees out there in Arizona at this point of the year. Jacob Latz playing for the Rangers here. Krismat for the D-backs. I think the D-backs are fairly interesting here. You look at both these bullpens, both not very good over the last month. D-backs bullpen has been absolutely atrocious in general. Texas is going to be the side that people play, I think. I think going to the other side here and playing some of the D-backs is pretty interesting, but both spots, both sides of this game are pretty good, in my opinion. What do you see here?
Yeah, I like both sides of this one. I mean, if there's another game that you're going to stack up other than that core, with the San Francisco, I think this is a game that you could stack it. Actually, like you said, both bullpens are terrible. That's going to be more of a bullpen game, I feel like, for the Rangers. I mean, what are we going to get? Mid-50, 60 pitches out of Latz? So, I mean, we'll probably go maybe 1.5 times over along the lineup. So, I mean, they're going to get a lot of that bullpen. And I do like that. Marte, Blaze Alexander, I think all those guys are in play. And like you mentioned, I think some people are going to go over to the Rangers, especially a lefty. Talese, Peterson, I think is even in play. Smith. So I think you could see that. I mean, we don't know what we're really going to get out of Krismat. Krismat is 8,400 over on FanDuel. I know he's pretty cheap over on DK. So, but Krismat looks like he has been getting beat up a little bit by lefties in his short stint that he's had up in the majors. So yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. It's just one of them scenarios. You don't really know what you're getting on the other side with the pitcher. And we've seen even some of the best of prospects come up and they get beat up and get shelled in their first game. But, this game, I think on both sides, you're going to see both of the starting pitchers. I have a feeling probably be out of this game by the 5th inning. So, you're going to get a lot of bullpen here. And you mentioned if they're taxed up, I think, definitely something to look at. But yeah, I think both sides of this game are interesting pivots off of Coors.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at the Rangers bullpen. They do have, their lefty that they'll probably bring out after him is going to be Robert Garcia here. The dude has a 134 whip, 2-7, 3.3 ERA. I don't. Let me. I'm not too worried about the pinch hit concern, which does interest me more with the guys like the D-backs here. Marte, Perdomo, Carroll. I mean, those guys can hit lefties in general. Lat's going to go probably 50, mid-50s in terms of pitches, maybe 60, not much more than that. Rangers bullpen's not been good over the last month. D-backs are going to be low owned. They're hitting the ball well right now. Blaze Alexander, Moreno, Locklear. I think all of those guys are in play. And if these lefties start the game lefty, you don't really have to be worried about them. D-backs don't really pitch hit. They kind of traded all their guys away, so they're just mailing it in with the guys they had locked up, Marte, Perdomo, Carroll. I will say Gurriel is probably not going to be in here. He got hurt yesterday. I think did he hit the IL? I'm not sure. I know he got carted off the field. I believe I saw. So there's going to be no Gurriel in there, which does help the case for some of those lefties too, in general. But I think the D-backs are really interesting. Rangers are fine, but I much prefer the D-backs in terms of offensive stacking on the slate. That's all 9 games. We talked about it again. Focal point is going to be Coors Field. It's going to be the Giants with Yu Darvish and probably Logan Webb. It is realistically the chalk build. At least dry ones show that. What's your kind of final breakdown here? Give your top, your favorite pitcher overall, your favorite combo, or your favorite top end or lower owned guy. Your top 3 stacks, 2 whatever, and then 1 lower owned stack, and then a home run call for the people before we get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Webb and Amaga and Wu, like I mentioned up at top for me. I think Rasmussen's interesting, a little bit more on DK than FanDuel. If Darvish is going to be chalk over on DK, then, I would obviously look to somebody like we talked about, like Lorenzen. But I just don't feel like pitching is really going to burn you today. I just don't think there's really high K upside today. But I think the more I think about it, Wu is just going to be a little bit more interesting just because I think he's going to just get overlooked, especially at his price. So the more I think about it, I think Wu is probably, as far as our price point, would be my favorite pitcher. You look at the stacks. I mean, obviously everybody's going to be on the Giants. Giants been hitting pretty well here in recent times. That Colorado team's just absolute ass cheeks. So it's just kind of hard to get away from that. But I think the Diamondbacks Ranger game is interesting. I do think that you could also look over there to St. Louis and maybe look for some A's against Miles Mikolas. I think that's interesting. Of course, we're going to have to keep our eye on that Minnesota White Sox game. There's some pretty good bats over there we like. But Nades, I think it's an interesting slate. I think there's some ways to go. We get a San Francisco team that generally not, people are clicking San Francisco names throughout the year. It's not a team that we generally play. Here we get them out there in Coors. So, I'm either full fading it. I'm going way overweight. I just like the way they've been hitting recent times. So I'm going to stick with some Giant stacks and probably mix in some other one-offs. So if you want to ask me about a couple one-offs, Nades, that could hit a home run, I actually have 2 of them, Nades, that I think I really like today. One, Miguel Garcia. I already saw somebody in the chat tell me I wouldn't play Miguel Garcia, so that makes me even want to call him more for a home run. So he is one, and then I think Ramon Laureano is another guy I like. So those 2 guys are my 2 guys I think are going to hit home runs here tonight.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. For me, I'm going to Imanaga is my favorite pitcher up top with Brian Wu, those 2 guys. And then I really like Lorenzen a ton there. Talked about the other guys that I liked at the beginning part of the slate. For me, offense-wise, I think the Twins are my favorite offense overall in the slate. I get it. There is weather concerns there, but again, I'm going to bite the bullet and risk it. I would much prefer to full stack that game, at least from your 5-man stack, versus leave it in for mini stacks, because if the game plays and you're going in, you're going to get lower ownership. You might as well be all the way in there. So I like the Twins a lot. I like the A's as a pivot off of the Giants there. And then I like the D-backs a lot, late night D-backs there. Obviously, the Giants are in the best spot on the slate. But again, talked about ways to play them differently. You can obviously play them. But again, I'm looking at other pivot spots in general off of the Giants, right? You don't need me to tell you the Giants are a good play with the 6.5 implied run total against Kyle Freeland and the Rockies pitching staff and the best hitting park in baseball. For me, home run calls, I'm going to direct pivot right off a Giants guy, Casey Schmidt. I think the direct pivot at a third base position for $800 cheaper that hits a home run. I'm going to my Twins. I'm going to the 9 spot, Ryan Fitzgerald. I think he hits one deep here. Young kid there for the Twins. He's hitting 9th. I like him. to hit a home run. And then I'm going to my A's. I'm going to the pivot off of Rafael Devers. Nick Kurtz, batting leadoff here. I think he takes Mikolas deep. So 2 pivots right off the Giants there. Giants score 15 runs. I'm probably going to lose on this slate unless one of my MME teams comes through. But for me, that's kind of where I'm looking to go. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you're looking for a home for NFL, look no further than us. You get all the premium content for all NFL, the showdowns, everything covered. We got additional shows coming this year, some premium only shows. We got some Survivor stuff going on with our guy Sheets as well. There's a lot of money to be made in Survivor. There's a lot of money to be made the entire NFL season. And we're giving it $79,267 as it sits right now back in cash and prizes to members as a free roll, no additional cost other than being a member at SHIPIT Nation with SaberSim. So that's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see those SHIPIT Nation logos at the top. For Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight. Peace.